Well, good morning, everybody. We are added a few more people to our prayer list this morning, and we had some good news there that about Cooper Reed. I think Jackie and Mary both mentioned that he opened his eyes up and that he had given them a thumbs up. So continue to pray for him and healing purposes. Also, we want to keep Paula Scott and Lance Miller's family. Also, Tony Arps. We added him this morning. Miss Andre added him this morning as well. And again, like Brother Rick said, continue to pray for our church that we would grow and take the message of God out to the highways and byways, and that they'll start flocking in. I know we don't have a big entertainment center to draw those people in, but a lot of times whenever you draw them in with stuff like that, that's what they're coming for, is the accustomed to the hype and all that.
Some of our youth is now going to other churches because we don't have other people of their age.
Right. So
we would if they'd come to our church.
But then you gotta get them to get something glad to be their age.
yeah, absolutely.
If they don't come here, we ain't gonna get none.
Catch 22.
Yep.
Well, this morning we're going to be in 2 Samuel chapter 20. 2 Samuel chapter 20. And, excuse me, we're going to talk about David's return to Jerusalem and into a insurrection. Now, I know that the Democrats talk all this stuff about an insurrection with Trump and everything, but no, this is totally different. This is a real one. So
They're trying to cast aspersions on themselves.
absolutely. So
They're scared to death of him.
yeah, it says the rebellion of Sheba. Okay, you'll read right there, 2 Samuel chapter 20. We'll start reading verse 1. It says, and there happened to be there a rebel whose name was Sheba, the son of Berchera, a Benjamite, and he blew a trumpet and said, we have no share in David, nor do we have inheritance in the son of Jesse, every man to his tents, O Israel. So every man of Israel deserted David and followed Sheba, the son of Berchera. But the men of Judah from the Jordan as far as Jerusalem remained loyal to their king. Excuse me. Now David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in seclusion and supported them, but not go in to them. So they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. And the king said to Amasa, assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days, and be present here yourself. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, now Sheba, the son of Berchera, will do us more harm than Absalom. Take your Lord's servants and pursue him, lest he find for himself fortified cities and escape us. So Joab's men with the Cherethites, the Pethelites, and all the mighty men went out after him, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue Sheba, the son of Berchera. When they were at the large stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa came before them. Now Joab was dressed in battle armor. On it was a belt with a sword fastened to its sheath at his hips. And as he was going forward, it fell out. Then Joab said to Amasa, are you in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with his right hand to kiss him. But Amasa did not notice the sword that was in Joab's hand, and he struck him with it in the stomach, and his entrails poured out onto the ground, and he did not strike him again. Thus he died. Then Joab and Abishai, his brother, pursued Sheba, the son of Berchera. Meanwhile, one of Joab's men stood near Amasa and said, whoever favors Joab and whoever is for David, follow Joab. But Amasa wallowed in his blood in the middle of the highway, And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he moved Amasa from the highway to the field and threw a garment over him when he saw that everyone who came upon him halted. When he was removed from the highway, all the people went on after Joab to pursue Sheba the son of Bercherah. And he went through all the tribes of Israel to Abel and Beth Makkah and all the Berites. So they were gathered together and also went after Sheba. Then they came and besieged him in Abel of Beth Makkah, and they cast up a siege mound against the city, and it stood by the rampart. And all the people who were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then a wise woman cried out from the city, "Here, here, please say to Joab, come nearby that I may speak with you." When he had come near to her, the woman said, "Are you Joab?" He answered, "I am." Then she said to him, "Hear the words of your maidservant." And he answered, "I'm listening." So she spoke, saying, "They used to talk in former times, saying, they shall surely seek guidance of Abel, and so they would end disputes. I am among the peaceable and faithful in Israel. You seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord?" And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. That is not so. But a man from the mountains of Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bercherah by name, has raised his hand against the king, against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. So the woman said to Joab, Watch this, watch his head will be thrown to you over the wall. Then the woman in her wisdom went to all the people, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bercherah, and threw it out to Joab. Then he blew a trumpet and withdrew from the city, every man to his tent. So Joab returned to the king of Jerusalem. And Joab was over all the army of Israel. Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and the Pelethites. Adoram was in charge of revenue. Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud was recorder.
Slew of names.
Right. Sheba was scribe, and Zadok and Abiathar were the priests, and Ira the Jerahite was a chief of minister under David.
That sounds like a modern day movie.
Yes, very much so.
In this time period, what was a scribe?
It was kind of like a lawyer,
Recorder,
yeah.
Like a secretary?
kind of like a secretary,
Administrative
and
Yeah, they're writing that.
the ones
language
that
it
put the
was.
stamp on notaries.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. So what do we see happen here? I know I always start out with that, but
Well, it's like
Somebody-
two little kids
is that
fighting
so?
over the king. Who's gonna take the king back to his palace?
Right?
Indians have him, and the Israelites say they have a bigger share, and
Well, personally, it's like the devil. The devil can do that too. He can make you take your mind, and but in reality, spiritually, you need to put your focus where this other, where Judah was. They were doing the right thing, where these Sheba and this other tribe were, manipulated by, in that
but
sense.
the whole fight was over who was going to escort
Yeah.
the king.
Right.
Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
thinking
So
previously in the other chapter. I was
So
thinking.
here's what we got. So we
They're
had,
arguing.
so there happened to be what they call a rebel, right? He said we have
Yeah.
a rebel, right? So that rebel was
That makes
who?
more sense.
Sheba, right?
Sheba.
So Sheba took
Yeah.
advantage of David's weakened status because of Absalom, right?
Yeah.
Absalom's failed rebellion and conflict between Judah and the other 10 tribes. He based his rebellion on 3 principles common to rebels, and I think this still is common today.
Kids.
Because he says, we have no share in David. That was the first thing he said, right? We don't have any share in David, okay? So he says, Sheba denied the king's sovereignty. He claimed that David had no right to reign over him or the 10 tribes of Israel. So first he said, we don't have no share in him. He's not our king, right? All right. The second thing is, he said what? The son of Jesse. So
Well, he was jealous of Judah.
Yeah.
right, absolutely. So Sheba, it says, Sheba devalued the king's identity. Jesse was a humble farmer,
Yeah.
and Sheba wanted to emphasize David's humbling beginning. But you know, God chose David.
Is that right?
So he was God's anointed, right? So, and the third thing is, he sent every man to where? Every man to his tent. And he said, Sheba decided to go his own way and drew others with him. He acted on his low opinion of David. So, we see that Sheba succeeded in drawing away the 10 northern tribes, and David had another civil war to deal with, right? It's basically what happened.
All fire.
Yep. And so we see in 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 40 through 43, leaders from these same 10 tribes argued with the tribe of Judah over who honored David more, as Brother Rick was just talking about. It says their response to Sheba's rebellion shows that their desire to honor David had nothing to do with honoring him, but in exalting themselves. So, you know, so we see there that, and this had made itself very clear once he blew that trumpet and started talking. Okay, so it says the men of Judah remained loyal to their king. It says the desertion of the 10 tribes was distressing, but the loyalty of the men of Judah was wonderful. When others desert or divide, it gives a greater opportunity to demonstrate their loyalty. So when the 10 tribes deserted it, you know, David, that gave them opportunity to show how much loyalty, how loyal they were really going to be to David.
No,
You know,
that makes
So-
sense.
You look right now at the world.
So-
What is the problem? People want more country, more land,
Yeah.
more power. I mean, now that's something the United States hadn't stretched out its hands to do, is conquer everybody else. Now, they've been asked to take in these other nations like Hawaii, and these other lands want to come into us.
Philippines.
Yeah, but we don't go in trying to persuade them that they need to be part of this. Well, we want you, or we're going to take you over. And it's just right from here all the way to current time, it's the same situation. Russia, they don't need any more, but they're going to take over these little countries.
Well, they thought they were.
yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, we see here that what does David do to the women that Absalom violated? What did he do to them? What?
He set them
Basically,
aside
put 'em
and
in prison.
supported them. No, it wasn't prison.
He said, Brother Rogers like basically put them in prison until they died.
Oh, yeah.
No,
He set them aside and cared for them.
he cared for them. He supported them as if they were widowed, you know. But,
Yeah.
which, you know, the Bible tells us that we're supposed to take care of our widows. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
he didn't go into them again.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, which, you know, I firmly believe that, you know, God was against
Be
him
careful.
having multiple women anyway. So,
Well, not only did he have multiple wives, he had multiple concubines.
right, absolutely.
And who knows what else?
Right. So, it says that they were shut up to the day of their death, living in widowhood. It says the sad fate of David's 10 concubines is an example of how our sin often has horrible effects on others. They suffered because of Absalom's sin and David's sin.
Yes. Both of them.
So it says David
No
tells,
fault of their own.
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It says David tells Amasa to marshal an army to deal with Sheba's rebellion. It says, and the king said to Amasa, assemble the men of Judah for me within 3 days and be present here yourself. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he delayed longer than the set time which David had appointed him. Why do you think that he delayed?
Organizing.
Yeah, a little bit longer. It says Amasa was Absalom's former general, and David made him the commander of his army as a consolatory move after the death of Absalom. So he kind of felt sorry for Amasa, so he put him in charge of the army. But David knew the time was of the essence. When Absalom had the chance to quickly crush David, he did not take advantage of the opportunity. David did not want to make the same mistake with Sheba. Okay, so he did what? He told him, he said, we got to get on this and get on it right now, because if not, it can get out of hand.
But once again, he didn't go out with his forces.
This is true. The last time he didn't go out with his forces, it was because why?
He was unfaithful with Sheba.
No, well, the time after that, where he remained at the gate.
Oh,
Oh, Absalom.
Because
Absalom was killed, but he was told by the people,
you're more important to
You're
us
more-
here.
right, you're more
Yeah.
important than 10,000 of us.
Correct.
So you stay here, you see? So it wasn't,
the first time was,
no, the first time was, like Jackie said, the first time was because his eyes were not in the right place.
That's
His eyes were looking ahead at what God wanted him to do. His eyes were looking at the world,
But he also, this time,
his worldly lust.
didn't seek God's advice again.
This is true. This is true. It says Joab kills Amasa and defeats Sheba. Using deception, Joab murders Amasa, pretty much. It says Amasa,
One,
huh?
that's the second one.
Second one, yeah. Same way he thrust the sword through Absalom, correct?
Well, Absalom, there was another general
Oh, yeah.
that he killed, and I can't think of his name right now.
It says Amasa came before them. You know, it says Amasa came before them. Amasa didn't assemble the army of Judah quickly enough, but he didn't want to be left out of the battle. He joined the troops loyal to David at Gibeon. Joab approached Amasa with cunning and deception. Holding the beard was a sign of a friendly welcome, and the fallen sword made it seem that Joab was unarmed. So you see what he did?
it's sneaky Bulgarian.
Yep. You know, magicians, a lot of times magicians will be doing something with one hand
Yep.
and then actually be deceiving you with the other.
Yep.
And so that's basically what Joab did here. He basically was like, okay, so he deceived him by making him think that he was unarmed and that he was being friendly by doing the customary grabbing of the beard and kissing of the cheeks. So he therefore, and then after he had a hold of his beard, he thrust the sword into him. He struck him in the stomach. And says Joab showed how ruthless he was. He murdered Amasa, the man who replaced him as the commander of David's army, out of both rivalry and concern that Amasa did not genuinely support David. And then we see that Joab takes command of the troops loyal to David and went through all the tribes of Israel, didn't he?
Yep.
Okay, it says Joab was able to find men loyal to David in all the tribes of Israel. Though Sheba was able to assemble an army against David, there were still many people there in Israel who were what? Loyal to David. They were loyal to David. So the end of Sheba's rebellion comes to a head. That doesn't.
A sudden.
Y'all didn't get that.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
And then,
I thought that was pretty good, but all right. It did. It come to a head.
Ain't you clever?
As it flew over the wall. Exactly. Okay. So this woman, she had a lot of wisdom and a lot of authority, didn't she? I mean,
apparently.
A lot of intestinal fortitude.
you're right. Absolutely. And she.
Back when women wasn't supposed to have authority.
Go ahead, Frank. She showed a lot of wisdom too, because she talked about the inheritance of the Lord, right? She says there, I am among the peaceable and the faithful in Israel. So therefore, she's telling Joab what? I don't want you to come in here and tear up this place, because I'm not going to fight you. I'm a peaceable person, It says, you seek to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why would you swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? So therefore she puts Joab back on his heels, right? Yeah.
In Deuteronomy,
What can you be if you will chop somebody's head off and throws it over the fence?
Well, there again.
when you're
But
given
she's given a circumstance. Yes. Go ahead.
facts of war, one of the things was to always offer the enemy terms of peace.
And that was
What they could do to garner peace.
right.
And Job wasn't doing that.
No, he wasn't. He was. They were beating down the walls. They were beating in the walls and stuff like that of the city, and which caused alarm within inside the city, and so therefore the disruption and all that stuff. They knew that it wasn't going to be good, and so they wound up. She wound up speaking up and coming to a viable solution to, like Brother Rick said, to regain their peace. So
He never should have gone in and locked himself in a city.
absolutely. So sometimes what you think will protect you will not.
David went and rescued, I believe it was Keilah, and was in the city, and Saul heard about it and was going to go, and he asked the Lord, will Saul come?
Yeah, and he told him.
And the Lord said, yes, Saul will come. And he said, will the people give me over? And the
yes.
Lord said, yes.
Yeah,
So he had to go.
right, absolutely.
But that never came to pass. So was the Lord lying?
Yeah, well, not.
If he'd have stayed there,
If
they
he'd
would have
stayed
handed
there,
him over.
they would have handed him over. Absolutely, absolutely.
So the Lord knows several possibilities all at the same time.
Yes,
Still
absolutely.
within His sovereignty.
Absolutely. So the wise woman cried out from the city. Says, when Sheba took refuge in the city of Abel, Joab set a siege against the city.
Trying to get your phone.
And
along came Roger.
And along came Job.
I'm going home.
no, you're not.
There you go. Brother.
You didn't want that second trip anyway.
I guess so.
Very business.
There she is.
He just got mad because I had already drank all my coffee. He just wanted to make sure his coffee cup was empty too.
You want to make sure you got more coffee.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
You should have been in the army trying to get back up.
That might have been it too.
What you say?
That might have been it too.
What you say, Willis?
What you say down there, woman? Two-colored hair woman?
That's Storm.
Oh, yeah.
That
Or is it Rogue?
that's gotta be-
Rogue.
Yeah.
Do we have
Rogue
another
is
one of
the
these?
one that has
Rick?
the white hair.
Yeah.
We don't have another one of those, do
What
we?
is it?
No, that was the Walking with the Walkers.
That's all right, I can read this, yeah.
Really dry.
Just their little report.
Well, your Bible didn't get too bad, brother.
I noticed somebody.
Whose Bible?
Yours. That means we got somebody gonna come and study.
I think that was the children yesterday.
I'm sorry.
You're right.
We had Gideon's birthday party.
Well, y'all need to wake up, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary.
Didn't know you could lock it.
You can put it on.
You wanna check that?
They have them on. They're extremely sensitive.
All right.
I don't know if it's in tune
We're gonna
or
need to
not.
get
We
these,
hadn't had anybody
floors
play it in so
Clean
long.
anyway.
So you interrupt your lesson.
I said, I do not know if it's still in tune
We're
or
almost
not.
finished.
Right.
Did you pause it?
No,
Oh, you can edit it though.
yeah. I would just add it as.
Yeah, go there and put, remember Noah's flood?
Yeah. All right, well, anyway, let's go ahead.
Roger the rest of the day.
Let's go ahead and close this up. They cut off the head of Sheba, the wise woman. She's like, hey, so here's what we're gonna do. It's like Brother Rick said, they found the solution, and the solution was to go ahead and turn
Give
on.
what he wanted, sort of.
Yeah, and so I said Sheba probably thought that he was safe within the walls of the city, but no one is safe when they run against God's will. There isn't a high wall there is not a wall high enough or strong enough to protect against God and His will. So it says, so they cut off his head and threw it over the wall to Joab, and they returned.
There you go, Roger.
It says, though he gained, Joab was over all the army of Israel. It says, though he gained the position through murder, David allowed Joab to take control over the armies of Israel. Then we have Benaiah, Adoram, Jehoshaphat, Sheba, Zodak, and Abiathar, and Ira the Jerite. The greatness of David's kingdom was not built on David's abilities alone. He knew how to assemble and lead an effective team. So
Yes,
these
yeah.
guys, that still goes for today. Any administration that's going to succeed has to have more than just one person at the helm. More than one person that they all need to see the vision and be able to put it into play.
Yeah.
It says, some people think that the idea behind the phrase chief minister is that Ira was sort of a chaplain to David. He was probably a sort of a domestic chaplain to the king. So if you're wondering what he did, because I know I read each of them's abilities off to you earlier. Here's a question for you. It says, if David, a man after God's heart, and the sweet psalmist of Israel needed help in his devotional life, we should not think ourselves above it. That's a saying there at the end of this lesson plan, which I thought was pretty cool.
It is.
We all need.
Also
We all
goes
need
to
help,
show,
just because he was a man after God's own heart and that he was a psalmist of sweet.
What, in 15, what Bible is yours? What?
New King James.
Oh, mine's New King James. It says, 15 says, then they came and besieged him in Abel of Beth Makkah, and they cast up a siege mound against the city, and it stood by the rampart. And all the people who were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down.
Okay, King James, regular King James, and they cast up a bank against the city and stood in the trench. Why would they stand in the trench?
More than likely, you have the people banging on the walls, and then you have reinforcements, because as soon as the walls go down, the people are going to flood in. That was the way
It's
of
kinda like a
combat
foxhole.
back then, and they were lined up
Yeah.
in in echelons, you know.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the trench was the dirt that they piled up against the wall.
Yes.
And also the people inside may have been throwing spears and arrows.
Well, that's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Hot water.
Or hot water, or oil,
Yeah.
whatever.
It also shows the futility of thinking that others are going to be willing to suffer for your behalf.
Right. That's what I was talking about.
The what?
People love them to death, but don't trust them.
That's not.
What was that big word she used?
Which one?
One of the first ones you said, it was similar to whatever.
Well, the first one.
But here's what I was saying right here, where it says, they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bercherah, and they threw it out to Joab. It says, Sheba probably thought he was safe within the walls of that city, but no one is safe when they run against God's will. There isn't a wall high enough or strong enough to protect you from God's will.
Amen.
You know, just like Keilah, David was in God's will, and
Absolutely.
they would have turned him over.
Yes, yes. Because it was, in fact, God's will. So,
People are fickle.
any questions on 2 Samuel chapter 20?
Chop their heads.
I may have to get my phone to read the next, the one that's got all the names in it. I'm
Well,
talking
your
about
phone
now.
is disassembled, so.
Oh, yeah.
Did I get coffee on you?
Yes, you did.
Mary said no. I believe her.
I wiped it off real quick, so I might not have got anything on the inside.
Neither did Roger.
Roger said, "Oh, get your phone as my phone's going like
No,
this."
I was trying to get your phone.
Oh, were you?
I was trying to
My
get
phone's floating. My phone's floating with the coffee river down the table.
I was more worried about his Bible than
Yeah, I
about your
know.
phone.
All right. With that being said, Brother Ralph, close us in a word of prayer, sir.
Thank you, Father, for your love, your word, your leadership,
Yes, Lord.
forgiveness. We look this now as we go into after service. Touch, heal, and protect us. In your name, in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.